Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. For Realm Royale, the first bit of extra content just launched, and it's known as the Alpha Pack. And today I just want to discuss and see whether or not it's actually worth the price of $15 and what you get for it. So while there's a little bit of gameplay in the back, just of an assassin gameplay where I get top 4, we're going to run down a list of aspects that I outline just to make sure that before you buy, you really know what you're getting. So, first of all, let's talk about what you get. There are actually 5 items. There's a kaleidoscope mount, an alpha T-pose emote, an alpha chicken skin, an alpha spray, and an alpha avatar. And it breaks down to the cost of $15, which is about $3 an item, which sounds pretty standard minus the spray and avatar. So for the first bit of buyable content, that sounds pretty standard. But there are a couple things we actually have to look towards and to determine whether or not it's worth. And the first bit is whether or not it's actually really that rare, because when you look at the first bit of alpha content, generally people buy it to support developers and because they know it's going to be rare in the future. But in terms of rarity, it's arguably negligible because it's not a closed alpha, therefore anyone can buy this pack. So in terms of actual item rarity, there is almost no value there. So you're getting 5 items with $3 each that in terms of rarity value is almost negligible. And this really impacts as to whether or not you should purchase this pack, because in the future when the items are supposed to increase in value because of their rarity, they're truly not going to fluctuate whatsoever. So you're truly going to be paying $3 and $15 for the whole pack for its entire lifespan of Realm Royale. So that means you're paying $3 for an avatar and $3 for a spray. And not only this, the rarity continually drops when you take into consideration that a battle pass is coming soon. So there's already more cosmetic items on the way. So when taken into consideration, this new alpha pack really doesn't offer a lot besides cosmetic items that have alpha pasted across them. And no offense to high res, but that's not really a great design in the first place. There aren't interesting skins being offered. There's nothing like that. There's no new color palettes or anything like that. You just have items with alpha sprayed across it. Take, for example, the chicken skin. He's just wearing a t-shirt that says the word alpha. So even in terms of the actual design of the items you're getting, there isn't a lot of value there either. So right off the bat, you're paying $15 for the pack itself and $3 per item for items that really aren't that inspired. They just scream, I played an alpha that wasn't closed in the first place. And you can find plenty of players who have already purchased the pack already alluding to the idea that this truly isn't anything special to buy into. But third, does the developer high-res truly need this revenue? Because I've seen a lot of arguments on the Steam forums and other websites alluding to the idea that even though the value of the items themselves may not be the highest out there, you might be interested in buying this pack to support the developers, to support the development of Realm Royale further. There's a couple of different things we have to take into consideration here, and the first of which is that there is nothing really hindering the development of Realm Royale. We don't see any decline in the amount of content being offered. As this pack points out, they're just developing more and more for it. And when we look to Hi-Rez as a developer and whether or not they need another revenue stream, we have to take into consideration their other games. And the 2 biggest games that they offer outside of Realm Royale are Paladins and Smite. And currently, both of those have very established player bases, and both of them have plenty of cosmetic items on sale right now, and plenty of content being released for them currently that adds even more value in terms of, purchasable items in the store. So there really isn't an argument there as to whether or not you should buy these items to support Hi-Rez as a developer for the development of Realm Royale. Because as of right now, there's nothing preventing the development of Realm Royale. They aren't hitting any roadblocks. They really aren't hitting anything monetarily that would prohibit them from developing this game further. And we already see that with the multiple patches coming out within the last week itself. So the final thing we have to discuss is whether or not these $15 that people will be investing into the game will truly be worth it on the back end. Is Hi-Rez going to use it responsibly? And that can be cast into doubt in a serious manner. If you take, for example, what they did to Paladins, they almost killed their largest game to date by one patch. They implemented a patch that, completely switched up how some champions work, how the game worked. It added a lot of pay to win elements into a game that was supposedly free to play for a long time. And in doing so, they alienated a lot of the player base. And it wasn't until a large amount of this player base actually left the game that they, reverted back from their decision. And so when you put your money on the line, especially with Hi-Rez, it seems, it's not always promised you're going to get what you paid for. And that has to play into a decision. And so when you look at this alpha pack, which again I reiterate, $15, and that may not sound like a lot but for the people who want to support a game and maybe, budget strapped, that it can be a large purchase. And when that large purchase doesn't have a promise of return, it seriously comes into question as to whether or not you should dedicate your funds to specifically Realm Royale. And on the back end of all of this, it legitimately does seem like a cash grab. The low value of the items with, a rarity that can be called into question considering almost anybody can get this as long as you have $15 and have downloaded the game, which is completely free. And the fact that the developer obviously does not need the funds to, continue development of the game, it really doesn't have a lot of purpose in terms of, supporting developers, supporting gameplay and stuff like that, and supporting a thriving community. So at the end of the day, the verdict comes down, personally, I would say, play it safe and avoid it for now. With everything adding up, such as the Battle Pass coming in the near future, as Hi-Rez has stated, and, Hi-Rez's previous practices, as well as the fact that there is nothing prohibiting the development of Realm Royale as of right now, considering the player base is growing, the player base is incredibly healthy as of right now. It's currently challenging, Fortnite as the second largest game on Twitch. There's plenty of revenue streaming into Hi-Rez as a developer and as a game company that there's really no reason you should purchase this outside of, maybe saying, hey, I have these things. I have the alpha skins for my mount and for my chicken. But if that doesn't interest you, if you aren't a collector per se, then all in all, I'd say avoid this for now. Maybe later down the line when their cosmetics have more value, when the skins, are more expressive, or they have more opportunity for expression in terms of these skins they offer, somewhat like the Paladins program that they had at the beginning of that game, where you could buy a skin and change up the colors. Until we see something like that, I just see little to no value in these skins in terms of what they offer to the players. I see it somewhat as a lopsided agreement between player and developer, whereas if you buy in with these $15, you're paying, a relatively high price for a skin and avatar and, amount, with little to no return considering the actual value and production of these items. So in terms of whether or not the alpha pack is truly worth it, I would currently have to say it's not. You should avoid it for now. Play the game, support it that way, get your friends to play it, do things such as that. Maybe if you play the other games, purchase something there. But for right now, let Hi-Rez focus on developing the game as is and don't turn it into a cash cow yet, because we've seen in the past that once that happens, it's questionable as to whether or not you're going to get your return on your investment.
Thank you.
Well, guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, possibly subscribe, share if you want to do that. And if you want to see more content, there should be 2 videos linked down below, and you can click my channel profile and subscribe there. Thank you.